What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 1 of End of the Tunnel podcast. I'm Derek Causer. This is, my brand new podcast. First episode, like I said. But I hope you guys are all having an awesome week, and I just wanted to hop on here, drop my first episode, and kind of explain a little bit more of, the name of the podcast. If you're following me on Instagram, then you would have seen today that I dropped my logo, and I'll explain that a little bit as well. But so End of the Tunnel podcast relates a lot to my logo if you've seen that. But, essentially what that means to me is growing up, one of the things that I always remember hearing as a piece of advice was, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. There's, as shitty as the things are, as shitty as, life is being to you, there's always that light at the end of the tunnel. Things always will get better. And, I've gone through some tough times since, graduating, and learned a lot of stuff, and dealing with my depression, my anxiety, that kind of stuff. That was one thing that was always through my mind was, that light at the end of the tunnel. There's always something coming. I remember when I was still playing Huskies, one of the coaches telling me at that point, God's got a plan, and there's a reason for all of this stuff. And, at that point I didn't see what that reason was, but as I've continued working and as I've continued growing, I began really seeing where a lot of this stuff has come from, and a lot of this stuff, how it has helped me. And that actually leads me into my topic for the day and what I want to speak on, and that being everything happens for us and not to us. But before I get into that, I want to just, mention that my logo is thrown up on Instagram, and if you've seen that logo, you'll see it has that tunnel, and essentially that's what it means to me, that light at the end of the tunnel. I'm trying to show you guys, and that's kind of what this podcast is for me. I'm still going through, I still deal with depression, I still deal with anxiety, and I'm still working on dealing with it and learning to deal with it. So I didn't have anyone personally that I really felt like I could fully connect to for the longest time dealing with my depression. Didn't know who to go to for any advice or anything like that. So I just thought that this would be nice for anybody that's, in the same kind of place that I was or anything like that, to be able to, hear about that. But on today's topic, everything happens for us and not to us. It's insane, going through life, there's so much that happens, and, life kicks us all down. None of us have a perfect life. We all have our own challenges, and we all have our own separate challenges. And, I personally believe that those challenges are given to us for a reason, to build us up. When I got out of high school and I started dealing with a lot of stuff, I didn't know how to cope with it or deal with it, and I went through making some bad choices and not dealing with it in the proper way. But all that stuff led me to learning at an earlier age than a lot of people how to start to deal with it, and just, how to really focus on life. That's been something that, I've worked on for a long time. I can't speak, or hopefully as I keep making these videos, they get better, and the first few might not be the best, but we all got to start somewhere. Everything happens for us, not to us. There were times where I didn't have a ton of money, but I learned how to live cheap. There were times I lived with depression, and I still do live with depression, but it's something where now I know what I want to do. I see myself dealing with it, and that's what led me to the path that I'm on now. Everything that I've dealt with in the past 3-4 years has been what's led me to what I'm doing now, to me starting this YouTube channel, to starting this podcast, to starting my personal training business, to starting my financial business. Everything that I've done has come from all the lessons that I learned in the last 3 years. If I hadn't spent the time feeling down and being in the gutter, I wouldn't be where I am now. And I truly believe that that's God's plan for me. And, you know, whatever you believe in, if it's, you know, the universe, if you are different religion or whatever it is, I personally believe that there's that plan that, you know, it all comes down to it. And it's, you know, as I've continued working and continued going through this, it's been incredible to, you know, just really see where I'm starting to go and where my life is going, and how all of the little things that, you know, I hated at the time and how much it made my life feel like hell at the time, how much it has really helped me. You know, I personally believe that every failure we have in life is something that we can learn from. Failure isn't failure until you give up. So, you know, what can you learn from? If you make a mistake, what can you learn from it? How can you change so that you don't make that mistake again? There's things to be learned from our successes and things to learn from the good stuff, but I personally believe there's a lot more that we can learn from the failures. When I played football, you know, the games that we lost were the games where we learned the most. That was where we figured out, okay, this is what we need to work on, this needs to be fixed, this needs to be fixed. You win and things look good. You're happy, you're not as critical to what went wrong. But that failure, that losing, is what really helps you learn. And we all have, like, life is long. Realistically, like, I know we all say that it's a short life, have urgency, and I agree with that. But at the end of the day, I'm 21 right now. There's a lot of years that I have left. There's a lot of years of learning these lessons. And, you know, the way that I look at it is the more that I can make these mistakes now, the better off I'm going to be when I'm 25, 30, 35, older, because I've already learned these lessons. One thing that I've noticed is, personally, is that a lot of people, you know, my age, and even for the next decade till the 30s, don't really pay attention to their mistakes. There are a lot that do, but there's a lot that don't really pay attention to it. You know, they're focused on just getting through the day, getting to the next day, and just kind of subconsciously going through their life. And yeah, sure, that's, you know, for some people they might be okay with that, but personally that's something that I always knew that there was something more that I had to do. I always had this feeling that there was, you know, something different that I was here to do. And that's just, if you can't lose, if you can't handle losing, you're never going to be able to reach what you want. You're never going to fully reach true potential, to me. Because, like I said, you learn the lessons through that failure. But yeah, but you know, at the same token, the same time, you gotta be, you know, when you have those positives, be grateful. And, you know, going back to the football, we studied film whether we lost or whether we won. Obviously, it was better to watch if we won, and it was harder if we lost. But, you know, we always picked and looked for those little things. If we won, we looked for those little things that would help us to be even better. If we lost, and, you know, there was bigger things, but if we won, grateful for the win, but look at what little things can be improved. And that's something that, you know, I've always been someone that's been really hard on myself. I've been a bit of a perfectionist, and that's something that I just have always kind of worked on is, you know what, I made a mistake here, what can I learn from it? How can I make this not happen again? Okay, today I had a great day. Why was it a great day? Okay, it was a great day because I did this, 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 and this. Well, alright, well, I missed out on this. And something that I'm working on is not being so hard on myself when I miss on that little one or two things, because I've been really bad in the past at looking at, you know, maybe I did 6 out of 7 things that I wanted to accomplish that day and just didn't have time for the 7th thing. And in my head, as good as I did, I would still look at that one thing, that 7th thing is what I would focus on. And I would forget that I did so good on all the other stuff. And that's great for helping you improve, but you're not going to be fully happy. Be grateful for what you accomplish and what you're doing well, but also take into account what you can improve on. It's a hard mindset to work on, and trying to focus on that, but I have this belief, and after reading a ton of personal development, that kind of thing, that the more grateful you are for what you have, the more that you're going to get. If you get $100 and you're unhappy with $100, well then why should you get any more than that? Because you're just telling, again, whatever you believe, the universe, God, whatever it is. Personally, for me, it's God. If I'm not happy with that $100, why the fuck should he give me $1,000 or something like that? Why? Be grateful for what you have. If I get $100 and I'm, again, the term that Ed Milet uses and I loved is blissfully dissatisfied, I believe is what it is. And essentially just, being happy for what you have, but knowing what you don't have and wanting to work for it. But you need to be happy with what you have first. If you're not happy with what you have now, you're not going to be happy at anything. Happiness is inside you. And holy, am I going all over the place with this. I hope that you guys are getting something out of it. I made a little bit of notes for this episode, but, you can't even see, maybe half a page. But 4 or 5 jot notes. So it's kind of going to be all over the place. Like I said, hopefully things get better, but, we all start somewhere and we all get better. That's one thing that I'm excited to watch with this podcast is, to see everything grow and to see myself grow and to see myself, just improve. I think is going to be really cool. And that's, I find that a lot of people, going back to, just being happy with what you have, I find that a lot of people are so focused on what they don't have. Well, you got to think about what you do have. And how much has gotten better since, a year ago or 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, and so on. Because that's something that, when I'm having times and I'm feeling down and I'm feeling like I'm not making any progress, I look back to where I was a year ago. And I was not the person that I am now. Not even close. I was so mentally fucked up at that point and far from what I am now. It's incredible how much I've grown. And that's what helps keeping me moving forward. To see how far I've come and how far I have yet to go. And that's the thing, a lot of people look at that big picture and look at, okay, well, this is where I want to go. This is where I am. Well, that's a big gap in between the two, and then we start doubting ourselves. Nobody starts anything that they don't believe they can do. If we start something, we believe we can do it. Someone that is playing football, going back to that, it's on my brain apparently today, someone that plays football, they're not going to, if they don't believe that they can go pro, they're not going to play past high school. In the majority of the time. If they believe that they are, then they're going to continue playing. People won't start if they don't believe that they can do it. So when you see that gap that's so big, you start questioning yourself, and a lot of people start doubting themselves. But the thing is when you look at it, maybe, here's where you got to go from here, but maybe a year ago you were here. Look how far you've come in that year. And that's something that I've tried to keep in my mindset in those days where, things feel hopeless. I've got a far way to go, but look at how far I've gone. Look at how far I've come. Look at where I'm now compared to where I was. Things have only gotten better, and, there was some tough times, but again, it happened for me, not to me. Those things that happened in the past are why I am where I am now. I would be a completely different person if they didn't happen to me. So just know, I know if you're going through tough times, it's hard to think about it and it's hard to focus on it. But just try and focus on, it's for you, not to you. Take the lessons out of it you can. And in the heat of it, in the heat of that battle, it's tough. And one thing that I would recommend you try to practice being grateful for things and kind of working on your mind, something that I did for a while, was every day I would make at the end of the day, I would make notes about things I was grateful for. Some days there was nothing but my supper. Maybe I had a shit day, but I ate something good for supper. And other days there was tons of things that I could think of. But what that did was that changed my mindset so that I was thinking throughout the day, okay, what's good to me? Now there's days like today where I notice every little blessing. I went into the mall today and I've been wanting to get a pair of slides for the past probably year because I lost my other pair, but I just haven't bought a pair. And I go look at Under Armour, everything's 50% off. I got a pair of slides that were $40 for $20. And yeah, maybe that sounds small, but it's a little blessing in my life. It's those little things. And I'm so happy that I did that practice. I believe I got it out of reading The Compound Effect. But it's really helped me to change the way that I'm thinking and focus on what is good going on. But going back to where I was talking, if you're going through tough times, just know it will get better. There's people that are willing to listen to you as much as it doesn't seem like it, or may not seem like it, but there are people that are willing to listen to you. I guarantee there's somebody in your life there that's willing to. And just try to remember that things happen for you, not to you. If you're going through tough times right now, again, there's always that light at the end of the tunnel. It's going to get better. It might take work, but it's going to get better. Things don't. It probably will take work. Things don't typically just get better on their own. But if you're willing to take some time and just focus on getting a little bit better every day, eventually it's going to get better. 1% better every day is 100% better in 100 days. So what can you do today to get that 1% better? Maybe it's starting that gratitude journal where you just every night think about was good today. But that was episode 1. I hope that you guys got some value out of this. If you did, then share this with your friends. Give me toss a subscription to my channel. You can follow me on Instagram at KasurDerek, KASURDEREK. TikTok, the same thing. Basically everywhere. But yeah, if you like this video, share it, drop comments, drop likes, and let me know if there's something that you want to hear me talk about. Drop a comment on it and I'll get on to that. But if you didn't like this, just forget it happened. Hopefully it improves and you're willing to give me another chance in the future. But yeah, this has been End of the Tunnel episode 1, and I hope you guys all have an awesome day, and I'll be back on the channel tomorrow with my second video, so be ready for that.